A minute of silence for truth. Don't get run over. Established 1983. Bonjour, good day. Welcome back to another walk and talk with yours truly. Established 1983. Thank you for taking the time to spend with me today as I expound upon some thoughts that I would like to talk about. Today's video is on the subject of health, longevity, prosperity, physical prosperity. To sum it into a word, forever young. Forever young, forevermore. This is what we're going to talk about today. And I'm about to hop into a little store here and say hello to my good friend Guylaine. I'm going to say hello to my friend Guylaine. So what is health? Let's start at the beginning. What is health? Physical health, mental health, spiritual health, moral health. And health encompasses all multitude of aspects of our life. Romantic health. You know, you could be the most fit individual, have the best diet, but if you're in a chaotic relationship with somebody, that ain't balanced. And in the words of Siddhartha Gautama, one must seek the middle path. One must take the middle path. Yes, my two favorite people in the world. You want to say hello to my friends? Bruno, say hello.
Hello. Hello.
All right. Oh, there's the other gentleman. Hello, bonjour. Bonjour. All right. I'll take a break for now and I'll be back. A minute of truth for silence. I was looking for a little bench to take a seat and talk to you a little while I wait for my good friend to pick up a marketplace purchase. Lots to catch up on. This is the follow-up video to, I guess, explain or expound upon the last video that I uploaded. recently at a family barbecue. My mother said to my friend, who's currently living with me at the moment, my friend says to me, "You know, Rick, your mother said the strangest thing to me." I said, "Really? What did she say?" She said, "You're like a black box." I said, "A black box?" Yeah, that was her choice of words to describe you. Others have described me to be very mysterious. So yes, I agree that that last video was very mysterious. So I'll give a little context. The title of the video is okay, believe it or not, I haven't even uploaded the video, but the video is ready. I actually made that video maybe about 2-3 weeks ago. I compiled it, right? The footage itself was acquired over a period of time, and the very beginning of that video, the very footage, I guess we could say, was the beginning of the end of the beginning, right? Or the beginning of a new day. I had released another video shortly after, around that time, that kind of expounded on my thoughts on the subject of renovations, etc., etc. And that was all around that same time. So the footage compiled in that short, abstract video, very obscure, as always, is primarily for my own future reference down the line. So when I'm 83 years old, I can go back and look at what established 1983 was doing from the time of his 38th year onwards. A little bit more than that, but 83, 38, the mirror, the 1111, the 22 master builder number. So it was very appropriate that the actual events, or the bulk of the events in that video, occurred on the 22nd of that month. So what was happening? Well, everything revealed itself. Many years ago, if you recall, I did a series called L'Apocalypse, and in this series it was me working on a piece that took the better part of 1.5 years to complete, and little by little I would talk while I was creating this piece. You can go back and look at the archives. And at that time, it was a very apocalyptic moment for me, because I felt in real time that the veil was being unveiled little by little on all the aspects of reality as I, prior to that moment, had observed it as, had understood it as, was interpreting it as. But around that time, in this piece, L'Apocalypse, was a very significant element, a significant period in my awakening period, right? It's when I started my YouTube channel. And if I go back to the very early videos, many of which have been since made private, of course, let's just say about 2 years ago, when legal proceedings were in line, I went through and kind of privatized a few of the videos that would be considered a little bit too extreme. In fact, what I was told is that the legal department that was mandated to peruse through the content came back with the report, and the report said something like this: good luck, we can't use any of this stuff in court. Is it art? Is it reality? Good luck, it's inadmissible in your child custody. In your child custody claims. Now, be that as it may, on the subject of child support, we want to see tax returns. We want to see notices of assessment. Okay? Anyways, I digress. L'apocalypse. Just as it was then 2.5 years ago, when things were revealing themselves, action was taken, behaviors were corrected, paths were mapped out and established. I always would say to people, one must have the capacity to reassess and adapt at any given time in their life, which is true. Boom, all of a sudden something happens. You lose a finger, you lose an arm. Reassess, readapt. Knock on wood. Established 1983, does not lose an arm or a finger. I came close to losing a finger, and again, when that happened, it was a very apocalyptic moment. So, back to the video, the prior video to this. This is like the part 2, which still has no name. That was a very apocalyptic evening, moment, period of time, 24, 48 hours, where things revealed themselves. People revealed themselves. The world around me revealed itself for what it truly was, and I finally saw for what it truly was. Therefore, I then acted accordingly and corrected the path that I was on, regardless of how shocking or surprising it may have been to some, to many, what have you. And so, after years of experience in any situation, we'll use the example of a job, which is always a nice, it's a good example that I can go back to, because most people have had this experience and they can relate. You're working in a company, you give yourself to this company for 1.5 years. In fact, truth be told, full disclosure, the longest I've ever worked in a company is 7 months. It's another story for another day. But let's just suppose I'm working in this company for 1.5 years, and I give everything to my company, to this company. I give my time, I give my effort, I give my heart, my soul, but the company wants more. It's never happy, it's never doing enough, I'm never putting enough hours. It wants more. Okay, if I need to take some time off, no problem, but I need you back. Oh, you need to come in this weekend. I've already scheduled it. I can't. You can't. So after a while, and then your boss or the person who you answer to finally asks something or demands something of you at a point where it's too much. And when you cannot give them what they want, the demand of you, they in turn flip it on you. They're very good. These kind of bosses are very good at psychologically flipping things on you, making you seem as if, well, you're the problem. I didn't like the way your tone and how you spoke to me about that. Well, I told you once very calmly and nicely, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I really can't. But you asked again, second time, oh, well, really, then a third time, and by the fourth time, you can't expect to give an answer that is contrary to what your original answer was. That's the answer. The answer is not going to change. And then as a result of that, things in the workplace after that point are very cold and resentful, and you're constantly reminded of what you did 2 days ago or a week ago, and this is what you must repent for, and you must repent forever, because I still need you, and I still need you to come in and fix this and do this when I need you to do it. So at a certain point, you know, we'll use the straw that broke the camel's back analogy. At a certain point, you say, okay, no more. And the way I react when I'm in that situation where the person who's receiving cannot accept no for an answer is I remove myself. And then all of a sudden you're not showing up to work, and then your phone's ringing, and and you say, actually no, it's okay. Like I don't want to work there anymore. Thank you. You have the right to choose when you no longer want to participate in something after you felt as if you've been used and abused long enough. And then you think about the last year and a half you spent in this company, in this job, and you think, oh my God, that time there, I remember that time where I wasn't good enough, or I didn't do it in the right time, or I didn't, and you go back and you think, okay, what do I have to show for it? What do I have to show for the year and a half of my time that I put into this company? The paycheck has come and gone, right? The paycheck has come and gone. So what am I left with? Whereas the person who was the recipient of your time and your energy and your heart is done with you. And you know what? That's okay if you don't come back, because there'll be somebody else that will replace you like that, because it's a great job. It's a wonderful job, a lot of benefits, a lot of perks to working in this job. So that's what that was about. And at the same time of this apocalyptic moment, other things were happening. So I got the job, I got other contracts and everything, and I'm just making a quick video. Okay, because
I didn't think you had cell.
No, I'm just making a quick video. All right, we're gonna pause this and we'll continue a little bit later on. Okay?
Sorry.
Don't apologize. It's okay. It's all part of it. I even said you want to say hello to myself.
Oh, hello.
This is my.
Are you still running?
Yeah, I'm still running. We'll let the madame go, s'il vous plaît. Bonsoir. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm waiting for my friend who's picking up some camera equipment, and I'll come back to this point later on. But hold that thought, okay? So.
Can I get you to carry this?
Yes, I certainly can.
Thank you.
The straw that broke the camel's back, and the point at which you say no mas, okay? All right. I dropped off my senior citizen friend at the bus stop. He said, I can't walk anymore. Established 1983. He doesn't call me established 1983. He calls me Rick. I can't walk anymore, Rick. You go ahead. I said, okay. I might hop on the bus a little bit further down the line. Seems like there's a strike going on with the bus system, and you can do what most people do, which is just wait at the bus stop, and then you zonk out on your Black Mirror device scrolling. I have a scrolling problem. A couple that scrolls together stays together. Anyways, and then you won't realize all of a sudden you've been there 15 minutes and you won't realize that, oh shit, there ain't no bus coming. And then you check the app, etc., etc. Anyway, so we just, and I said, okay, do you mind if I keep walking and you wait for the bus? I'll probably get there before you. Anyways, so that's something that happens in our life, going back to what I was talking about just moments ago. That is something that happens in our life consistently. I recall years ago hearing something along the lines of, in any life, we will change careers 7 times, right? So in the application of the job, you will change careers, paths, you know, and I myself am close to, if not my 7th, very close career change in my time here since 1983. To finally, at the ripe old age of what I am today, have a much better, a solid foundation of who I am, what my capacities are, what my goals are, what my aspirations are, where I focus my energy. It's not what you know, it's what you intend to do about it, you know, that kind of stuff. And so this brings us back to the video where all of a sudden, one by one, multiple aspects of my life presented themselves in their true nature. Go ahead. Yeah. Presented themselves for what they truly were. And at that point, I had to act accordingly. You know, before you can fix a problem, you must first identify that there is a problem. And now that you know, what do you plan to do about it? There's the bus, which I could actually catch. Should I catch it? No, I'm not going to catch it. I'm going to finish this. So, the job is one aspect, and it ties in with the other aspects simultaneously occurring at the same time of that building, of that video, which was the big renovation job that I contracted some contractors to do, and they basically gave me a big FU. They weren't the only ones to give me a big FU that weekend. Let's put it that way. In fact, just earlier that night, I was given an FU as well, which also, again, when someone gives you an FU, I'm not going to do it because it's not polite. It's a very obtrusive action to do to someone. When someone gives you an FU, the middle finger, it does something to you, right? Well, it did something to me that night. Something that was unchangeable, irreversible. The straw that broke the camel's back, right? So you say, okay, now that I see what I see, very apocalyptic in that moment, you have revealed yourself, your true self to me, I will now act accordingly. So the contractor that revealed himself to basically take full advantage of a situation where he felt he could get away. And in the end, he did get away. I asked for a refund and he walked out of the conversation. So fair enough, enough said. What was the lesson learned to me? Don't ever hire contractors again. And in fact, if you want to do something properly, you always got to do it yourself. Right? So after that point, there's photos of my friend and I demolishing the entirety of what these individuals were paid a few $1,000s to do. You know, the entirety. And this is what I told them. I said, listen, buddy, what you did, I'm going to have to completely remove and put it up again. He said, oh, I'll come and fix it. I said, please don't. Please don't. But anyways, so that's thanks to the support and the time and the effort put in by my good friend Hemsworth. We were able to go ahead. Yeah, good job. You got it, buddy. I was able to demolish the shoddy work that was done, and over the next few weeks, myself single-handedly built it back up. So it's been an update since the last photos, and I'm still working on it. So now that, okay, so this is it. So I quit my job. Okay, bringing it back to the big day. The big day. My boss revealed themselves to me, and so I quit my job. I said, I'm not coming in to work for you no more. I am not your slave. I am not your pet. I am not here to serve you, boss. So good luck. Thank you very much. And I took it upon myself to better myself. So what happens when you leave a job? This is very interesting, and it's not the first time that it's happened to me. Job. It's happened previously. Is that you feel a sense of freedom, finally. Freedom in terms of you have your time back, yes. But freedom in the sense where now you can choose where to put your energy for a worthwhile venture. You're going to now, once you left your job or got fired or, maybe got dumped, fired from your job, your boss says, no, you know what, I don't need you anymore. I've used you enough, thank you, don't come back. You say, oh, no, but it's a sign, right? You realize that all that energy that you were putting into this job, you can now apply to yourself and your own, what we call revenue creation for yourself. When people say, what do you do? I say, I'm self-employed. Oh, so you don't have a job. Au contraire. I work harder and more than most individuals that you know. And the difference with me is that I don't sit around killing time while my time is clocked. This is, I'm gonna get my paycheck and maybe I'll spend an extra half an hour at work on my lunch break, or maybe I'll come in. My boss is not around this week, so I'll come in don't have that, right? So everything that someone like myself who is responsible for their own destiny, entrepreneur, self-employed, businessman, you don't wake up, you don't go to work, you don't feed yourself. Nobody pays you, you pay yourself. You're not waiting for a paycheck at the end of 2 weeks, which, by the way, is already gone before you got it because you swiped your way all the way to that credit card, right? So you got to pay back to that paycheck. So you got to pay back what you swiped to get there, right? Or you spent a lot on your personal life, and you got, oh my God, you took the girlfriend out for the weekend, and everything was a very expensive night. And then at the end of the night, your girlfriend bitched you out because you said something or looked at somebody a little bit too long, and gotta wait for that next paycheck. But that isn't me. If you have a girlfriend like that, my advice is spot those things early and rid yourself of that psychological trap. Okay? Because from my own personal experience, I'm not going to get too personal on this level, but you can never give enough of yourself to someone who will always take more. That's why I use the analogy of the job. I'm talking about a relationship now, but in the analogy of the job, you will give as much as you want to give, and your boss will always take more. So if you're in a relationship that is very one-sided, so to speak, and a lot of people are in this relationship, you're with a beautiful woman and highly desirable, everybody, you're lucky to have gotten such a beautiful woman, so you have to give in, you have to give yourself, not just your time, your love, your care, but your money as well. And if, there's no money, no honey, right? So if you are one of those individuals that's in that kind of dynamic in any romantic relationship, be told those are red flags, and I'm sure you can find someone better for you that is more suited for the embetterment of you as an individual and not just looking out for their own well-being. You hear it all the time, we were together until the money ran out and then she dumped me because I didn't have any money anymore. Maybe that could be it. Also, the same guy who says that often, at one point becomes alcoholic depressed alcoholic who starts beating up his wife or his girlfriend. Okay, at that point, sure, but anyways, I digress. The best recipe for a long-lasting, fruitful relationship between a man and a woman, I'm not going to talk about anything else because that's to each his own, is where each one knows their role and each one cares for the other as if they would care for themselves, right? Because when you care for the other or love another, is because you love yourself. And through love of thyself, you can then truly love another. And we're not talking narcissistic love of myself. Love simply means care. You care for yourself. You respect yourself. You love yourself. And through that, you are at peace with yourself. You are in line with who you truly are. And you need to find someone who can complement that. In a time like today, there is no choice but to share everything, right? And even though traditionally men have their roles, women have their roles, I'm all for that. And if you are in a position where you can provide for your wife or even your husband to stay home and take care of the household or take care of you or take care of the children, then that's one thing. But otherwise, the old-fashioned thing doesn't work so much today, especially in a time when there is so much entitlement. Men are entitled, women feel entitled, everybody's feeling entitled. A woman will say something like, if I'm going to share my body with you, well then that's what you have to do. You got to pay for me. You got to pay for everything. Well, what about you, sweetie? What are you going to pay for? Well, I'll pay for myself to go to the spa. And I'll pay for myself to go on vacation with my girlfriends. But otherwise, if I'm in your life, you're going to pay for me because I can't do it any other way. If I pay for you, I'm going to feel like I'm not attracted to you and you're not desired. If we have to pay, if we have to share our living expenses, that doesn't work for me. Red flags, okay? If you have or are or ever have been in that kind of dynamic with a partner, red flags. Get out before you realize, okay, this person is going to run you into the ground. And when they run you into the ground, there's no mercy. There's no shame. The same person can see you desperate, struggling, saying, oh my God, I need to come up with $100 or $200 to just pay my bill. And they could look at you and not feel a single sympathy or even help. They just got their paycheck last week, right? The same person who says they love you and claim to be there for you is seeing you suffer, and they just got their paycheck last week, but they won't consider to say, you know what? Okay, here, let me lend you $100 or $200. You can take care of what you want. You can pay me back. We're together. I love you. I understand you're going through a situation right now, so no problem. Instead of, well, could you hurry up already and get that money that you're looking for, and can we go? I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Let's go and eat. And you're paying for it, of course, right? I digress. If that's something that you've experienced, red flags. Equally, if you're in a relationship and the partner is controlling you and saying, okay, well, this is how you must behave. Interactions with previous people in your life, unacceptable. Red flag. Right? Anyways. So, I get back on it. I'm on it. I clear, yes, the rental, the little view of the apartment. Beautiful home, right? Beautiful home. What a magnificent space. I had the privilege of discovering one of the most beautiful apartments in Montreal. And unfortunately, due to life circumstances, which I will get into, it didn't end up becoming a reality. It did become a reality, and then, like I said, the apocalyptic moment happened where it was like, oh, And as my friend Michelle told me, olha, Ricardo, eu estava a te ver e tu estavas a ir assim, devagarinho, 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 assim, 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 até o fim, quando tu ias ter completamente fudido. Completamente fudido. Eu te disse, toda a gente te disse, não sai daí, não entra, não vai, não aluga essa casa com essa menina. Por que a menina não vem para aqui? Por que a menina não vem aí? Porque a menina não queria. A menina queria fazer as coisas assim. Então, tu fizeste tudo. Até o ponto quando tu realizaste que não podias. E félicitations, il m'a dit. Félicitations parce que cette situation t'a sauvé énormément. So, bringing it back to the job. How much of yourself can you give to, in essence, somebody else's dream before you realize that your own dream is slowly but surely being sucked out of you? You don't realize it because you're in like, oh, I got the benefits. Oh, look at this job. I give people my business card and they say, oh, wow, you're so lucky to have this job. Hey, nice. You're so lucky to have this job. What, you must have really special skills to be able to have gotten this job. Well, again, Tu m'as envoyé le message ou quoi?
Non, j'ai pas envoyé. Je vais l'envoyer.
Ok. T'es là, j'ai là.
C'est bien passé.
Oui, bien sûr. Envoie-moi le message, je trouve quelque chose pour toi, ok? Tu conduis?
J'ai pas un permis.
T'as pas un permis?
Non, j'ai pas un permis. Je vais te texter.
Texte-moi. Bye, Osama. Ciao. You were perfect for the moment that you were needed for. And then, once you became a little bit too disgruntled or not as you used to be before, you used to show up on time, now you're late 5 minutes every day, you don't care, you're always changing. They get rid of you. So, how much of yourself can you really give into anybody or anything before you realize, I got buddy's backpack. Before you realize that you've been, for lack of a better word, used and abused and squeezed for as much as you possibly could, and then made to psychologically reflect on your backpack. Your backpack, dude. Okay, I'll see you later. It smells good. It's smelling good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ciao. And it's only after you leave the job, lose, whatever, same, that you reflect back on everything. You go, wow, I should have left that job a year ago. Right? I'm gonna make a coffee and pause this for 30 seconds. You realize at a certain point that you were used and abused, and so you have that choice to either continue to be used and abused because you have a great job and it's very prestigious and everyone's like, oh wow, you work at I don't know, that firm, that's a high class firm you work at. Yeah. But yeah, my mother keeps telling me, Rick, when are you gonna work for the government? I recently was classified by an official government document as an artiste. Okay, artiste with an E, artiste. And I finally said to my mother after so many years, I said, aha, mother, Now you will consider me an artiste. Tax return? Artist. Guess what? As an artist, you can claim a part of your dwelling for tax purposes. It's deductible. How many canvases did I work on in the last 2 years? Well, quite a few. When we consider that a canvas for yours truly is this whole thing and not not just some tableau that you throw some paint on and hang on a wall somewhere or sell for any amount of money. And I said to my mother recently, all around the same time, actually, a few days after the 22nd, okay? Around that time when the Virgin, it was very apocalyptic. I had a huge explosion towards my mother specifically, right? And it was simply because, once again, she did not acknowledge that I am not what she imagines me to be, right? I mean, how many times are you going to tell your son to get a job for the government? By all means, please, you know. Or I expressed to her that, shit had popped off recently, and her reaction was, well, you must have done something, right? And so in a firm voice, no, I didn't do something. I simply reacted, and no, you are wrong, and no, I don't agree with your opinion of me. Anyways, this is not a Family Feud episode. Wrong reference, but this is not a Maury. Wrong reference. This is not a Jerry Springer. It's more of a Jerry Springer than, well, I guess Maury and Jerry Springer, if you know what I mean, are kind of related to this whole thing, you know? Just a big melodrama. So bringing it back to control of your own life, control of your own destiny, control of what you choose to put out into the world. After this short message from our sponsors. You see, shit like that is what made the lawyers years ago go, okay, no, I can't watch any more of this. However, they were able to bill a few hours for watching my videos. So I can say that I've had eyeballs on my videos that were paid to watch my videos. The result of it was obviously nothing. So again, when people choose to go the legal route, I was talking to a friend recently about the whole child support thing and how, many men specifically have been, we're not talking about the abusive ones that had drug problems or alcohol problems or were physically violent. We're just talking about men who love their families, work hard for their families, love their children, do everything they can for their children, but they have a wife who, for some reason, is never satisfied. There's a lot of those. That's another thing. If I give any advice, look out for the red flags of women. I'm talking from my personal experience because I'm a man and I've had experiences with women. Women that are never happy. Right? And there's certain signs that come on early on that will show you, maybe this is someone that will never be happy. And short of having $1 million, guess what? That's not going to be good enough. And short of giving, $500 a month for child support, guess what? That's not going to be good enough. You know why? Because you're making a lot more. So I want more. I want more. Anyways, the silver lining of all that is that being self-employed, there is no way for any government or legal party to extract any funds from you. Said I would stop smoking on camera, but I find it helps me expound upon my subjects a little bit more rapidly. right? So when you're self-employed, and I've heard stories, I have lots of friends that have gone through the divorce route or the separation route, and because they were well gainfully employed, they were basically assaulted for the rest of their life, or at least for the next 18 years of their life. My dear uncle is one of those individuals. The woman he was with, who made much more money than he did, took him for every penny that she was legally able to when they separated, to kind of teach him a lesson. And that's the other thing. It seems there's a lot of very vindictive, malicious people, men and women out there. And I wonder if it's, again, bringing it back to this idea of entitlement. I'm entitled. Okay. My very first relationship, mother of Fitzgerald, we had our issues when we separated, but there was never a sense of entitlement on the part of his mother, nor any claim or involvement with the government. Why? Because it was a mutually agreed upon separation for the betterment of all parties involved, and as a result, since then we've been closer now than ever, right? There was never any involvement in the government. There was never any lawyers, first of all, because she made a lot more money than me at the time, and still does to this day. In fact, everybody makes. As an artist, you don't make a lot of money, okay? No money here. Don't forget my Patreon, and if you want to send me a coffee. But aside from that, there was the absolute understanding and need for the child to have a relationship with their father, and which is why, thanks to her, thank you, Lady A, I today have the relationship with Fitzgerald that I do. Best friends, forever. The other one, on the other hand, my other two children, well, hopefully she will come around. Hopefully their mother will get past the point of anger and frustration and entitlement. If you're listening to this now, young lady, like the poster at Prohibition said, let that shit go. It's gonna be okay. Didn't work out between us, but I still love my children. And when you're ready to let my children see me and spend time with their father and create a relationship, when you're ready, okay? They're ready. In fact, I was talking to my daughter just the other day, a week ago or so. She called me. She's like, Daddy, I miss you. When are we gonna see you? I said, hey, Rosie, my dear, we can see each other tomorrow. We can see each other the next day. I'm no longer working. I no longer have the job that I used to have up until a couple of days ago, weeks ago. This is whenever it was. And all you gotta do is, and I have a beautiful home, beautiful house where you and your brother can come, and just all you need is your mother to agree to bring you. She grabs the phone. Stop telling the kids. First of all, they're not kids, they're children. Not gonna get into that. Anyways, things are a little bit. Hopefully she'll come around. And so that's another thing. Relationships, couples, families will then, one or two, both parties will utilize the children to manipulate the other. They use them like little pawns on the chessboard to say, okay, well, I'm gonna, and it also applies to the monetary aspect. Okay, the kids need more clothes. The kids need, the children will always need stuff, right? Well, why don't you get a job? Why? I stay home and I take care of the children. Okay, well, I don't have enough to give, so you can't squeeze blood out of a stone, But yeah, then there's this sense of, okay, I'm going to punish the father. Okay, and again, I'm talking specifically about fathers that are good fathers, fathers that love their children, that have the capacity to care for them, to nourish them, to guide them. We're not talking about crack, deadbeat, alcoholic fathers. And unfortunately, there are a lot of relationships where the mother and the father are both deadbeat crackheads, or the mother is a crackhead, the father is not, or vice versa, and they share the custody. So what kind of messed up life would that be for the child? 1 week he's with dad, and dad's drunk and doing crack, and the next day is mom, who works in a legal firm as the communications director for the company. It just doesn't work, right? It's not my case. So, if you have children and you're no longer with the mother or the father of your children, try to make peace. Only if there's a desire. I have a friend. His daughter's 13, 14 now, right? He got married out of the blue. This Muslim girl, okay? Fell in love with this Muslim girl. Converted, changed his name to Mohammed Rashid, chopped off the tip of his penis at 30 years old, whatever, each his own, to convert. 6 months later, or a year later, the daughter was born. Turns out the woman is batshit crazy, okay? His words, not mine. 5-6 years later, he tells me, dude, I've spent so much money on legal fees. She took the house, she took this, she took that. I spent so much money on legal fees. It would have been cheaper to just have her whacked. I said, no, C. Diddy, you are not allowed to say things like that towards the mother of your child. I know she's batshit crazy. Most women are. It's not their fault. Most men are batshit crazy. It's not their fault. It's the society that pushes someone to the point where they don't even realize. It's not normal to work 40 hours a week or 50 or 60 hours a week and to not have any time for yourself, and then to be, it doesn't have to be like that. Anyways. And at any point in our life, we can correct our path, which is what yours truly, established 1983, has done. Corrected his path. So today, I am able to share with you little obscure art videos like the one this is part 2 of, and use that as a way to kind of give perspective on life. What else could I talk about? People still concerned about Israel and Palestine. That's still a thing. Okay, people are absolutely certain by the end of the year the world is going to come to an end, and there's a war here and there's a war there, and I assure them that shit is only happening on your screen. Just at a picnic table the other day. Oh, you always say stuff like that, and how can you? Are you saying that are you saying that the children are dying in Palestine? Is that what you're saying? Why are you getting upset? I'm just simply stating that for every topic, you're going to have this side of the argument and this side of the argument. So I used COVID as an example. I said, look, let's look at COVID. What happened in COVID? COVID, you had the die-hard non-believers, 90, 95%, whatever. Maybe it was less, maybe it was more. We'll never know. It's an unknowable thing. Equally so, you had the quote-unquote COVID deniers. That it's actually a much bigger crowd than you would think, of course, because the powers that be are not expressing to you that there are lots of people who actually don't share the same worldview. But these are people who include doctors and etc. All the names, Now you got these people that absolutely know that viruses are real, and that if you don't wear a mask and stand 6 feet apart, you could catch this deadly thing. And then on the other hand, you have people that say viruses, that know equally viruses don't exist, never have, never will, and that this whole thing is simply a psychological operation used to ultimately get a On one level, it was to get a feel, like a poll, But on another level, it was a way to show everybody that is one world. Is one world like these. But again, if you don't have that perspective or that point of view to look at something from, then you're just going to be stuck on this. And so, of course, you're going to get upset when someone tells you that viruses don't exist and that the PCR test is absolutely useless. So then what did I have? If it wasn't COVID, what did I have? I don't know what you have. Maybe you got radiation poisoning. Maybe you got food poisoning. Maybe there's too much pollen in your house, and that's why you got sick along with everybody else. I don't know. I lost my sense of breath, my taste. Old news, right? So, same thing. Ukraine, Russia. You watch the black box, it tells you tanks going into Ukraine. You watch other stuff and it tells you crickets, nothing going on in Ukraine right now. And that's actually what it is. So again, going back to the family picnic recently, my uncle says, what we need is we need a change. We need a revolution of the mind. I forget who it was that said. Somebody, one of the elders at the table said something like that. We need a revolution of the mind. And I asked simply, okay, and how do we do that? And which then erupted in the all-out discussion where somebody else is going, you can't talk to Rick. Nothing is real for him. Simply saying, for everything you're gonna have. Right? So, once you know a thing, you cannot unknow a thing. Act accordingly and reassess and adapt and choose the right path. And when someone gives you the finger, take that as the sign that you must distance yourself from this individual who gave you this finger. Be it a private person, be it a business, be it any sort of thing. When someone goes to the point of giving you the finger to your face and then smiling, you say, aha, okay. I will act accordingly henceforth. So, on that note and that tone, thank you for coming here today. Thank you for sharing this moment, your time with me. I hope you got something out of this video. I certainly did. I will look back on this many moons later and go and think to myself, I remember that time. It was the summer of 2025 where everything changed. And in the words of a born-again Christian, the Spirit of Jesus came across on me and I knew the truth. I saw the light and the truth. So, I look forward to reading your comments. If you have any stories you wish to share of similar things you've experienced, by all means, I will share them. Big shout outs to all my friends and family and supporters and subscribers. Treach, AML, JLB, Fakeologist, Uncle Bob, No More Computers, first one off YouTube, No More Computers, Uncle Retardica, Mr. E, if you're listening to this, Big Cat One Day, who else we got? Rick, what's your face? Lynn Ertel, you yell a lot. You get very excited. I look forward to one day calling in when you're not yelling, you know? Yeah, everybody else out there, till we meet again in this life or the next, thank you for watching. Bonjour, good day.